Hello and welcome to the AAS studios in Hamburg. My name is Dennis and I'm running these studios together with Matthias. The concept of this studio is to record mainly handmade music such as soul, garage, indie music or any music that is influenced, for example, by the 60s or 70s. To achieve the sound that suits this music well, we collected a lot of vintage gear such as the Polygram or Ampex or a lot of tube equalizers and mic pre's, and this is what we use to get the desired sound. So the idea is to record a natural sound. For example, we really like the idea of recording drums with not too many mics. We use the Glyn Johns, for example, or we just use 3 or 4 mics on the drums. That's it. We get the sound of the kit and the sound of the room. We also like to add some coloration with vintage gear like the tape machines or tube equalizers and compressors. I, for example, listened to a lot of vinyls that had this sound, and I was always guessing how to get it. How can I achieve a sound that has this naturality, but also this punch that the, for example, sound of the Beatles or the Beach Boys or the garage sound of the 60s had. But what is a vintage sound? To us, there is no vintage sound, not that vintage sound. There's a lot of vintage sounds. Well, you know, between 1965, let's say, and 1975, the recording techniques changed drastically. And I think, to my taste, each of these techniques and eras of recording has its own taste and color, which I really like. So using some of this color in modern recordings is very interesting. For example, putting just 1 or 2 or 3 mics on the drums or putting 12 mics on the drums can be very different. Using different techniques like the Glyn Johns mic technique or using just overheads for the recordings or just a 3 mic idea which has Sylvia Messi called it the dick mic that has this as a center mic and adding some overheads to get the room and the treble. It's very interesting, and you can use it on modern recordings as well, giving it some taste of the 60s or the 70s. The same with the gear. There is no vintage gear. There's a lot of vintage gear actually, but totally different. There's high-class gear that was built in the best way you can build analog gear, which is superb, even today. But there's also the crappy stuff of the 70s, which was used in home recording studios, which still has a cool sound if you are looking for garage sound, for example. So it's very different. And I think you could not say there's one vintage sound which is a lot of distortion or whatever. It can be, but it can also be very high class. What you see here is my custom Polygram desk. It was manufactured in 1977 by a combination of Philips and Deutsche Grammophon, which joined together as the Polygram. And it was a custom desk. It was made for the Wisselord studios in Hilversum, which was the main studios for the Polygram. And so this is one of maybe 5 that were ever built like this. I bought the desk because of the sound. And I never thought that I would buy a VCA desk, but with these VCAs that were built into that desk, I was convinced to do so, because it's all DBX gold cans in each channel. So they sound superb. What I like about the desk is the depth that it gives to your recordings, the clarity, but also a vintage vibe that I really like. Of course, this is an old desk, so it needs a lot of care and love, and we keep it running the whole time. We never turn it off. This is what makes it sound really good. The desk consists of 32 channels, 24 on the left side, which I mainly use for recording microphones, but also in the mix for line signals, and 8 on the other side, which I mainly use for returns of reverbs and delays, but I can also use it for if I need 32 channels in the mix. There's another 24 channels, just monitor desk, but it's also possible to put them into the mix as well. It has a 24 channel bus where I can route each channel of the desk to each channel of the multitrack. I can also combine different tracks and mix them together to one track on the multitrack. The channel itself has a mic gain and also line gain. Of course, you have a phase switch. You can say if you want the microphone, the line, or the remix, which is just the signal when you want to mix it. You have the aux, which is 4 mono aux. You can tell them to be pre or post fader. And you also, this is very special, have a master aux potentiometer where you can tell the whole thing, the whole enchilada, how loud it should be on the bus. So next comes the EQ, which consists of the treble. Here you can select the frequency you want to boost or cut. Here you can boost or cut, and here you can tell if it's a notch or a shelf. This is the mid EQ, which consists of 3 selectable frequencies, which you can select over here. So it's fixed. You can also only tell between 3 frequencies here, and you can boost or cut it. Same with the other frequencies. Here you got the bass part of the EQ, where you can select a frequency again, and you can also select the type of EQ you want to have and boost or cut. Plus there's also a low cut, where you can select here the frequency. So last in the channel, we've got the fader section with its PFL function and solo function, mute, turn on and off, and of course the fader itself. And also this is a VCA, so you can also do groups with it. You can tell them here which group you want to take. It's 9 in sum. And let's give it group 1. We've got the group 1 over here. You can mute or turn it on for all the selected faders, and you can also set the master volume of your group. A very nice feature of this desk is this peak meter over here. So you've got peak meters for all 24 channels plus the master. It's 4 masters because it used to be quadrophonic, but also really nice is this option. You can switch off the multi-track analyzer, and then you can switch in the frequency analyzer over there. So it shows you all the frequencies and the levels. This desk also has 8 compressors, which came with the desk. And as I said before, this desk was planned to be a quadraphonic desk. So what you have here is, let's look at the 4 of them. You can say it's just a single unit, mono, or you can put it to stereo. So it's linked. But you can also put these to stereo as well, and then you can link the stereos to quadraphonic, which is a really nice option. Let's say, for example, you want to duck. So you put in the level over here and make him tell the other compressors when to duck. With the M-32 Pro, I found a converter that does the job. I want the converter to give me back what I put in, especially if I have a Polygram console, which adds a lot of depth to the recordings. Another feature that I really like is the feature of the total mix, because with that one I can do a lot of headphone mixes for the musicians, for example, which I couldn't do with the vintage console. So it gives me the freedom to record vintage, but with features of the modern world. There's something that I'm used to with recording gear. That is, you use it for years and years and years. This is something that normally doesn't go for converters and any computer stuff. But with the RME still getting a support for my converter that I may have bought 10, 15, 20 years ago and still get updates and new drivers, this is something everybody in the industry should do.